The college football experience, Georgia State Panthers 2023 season preview episode on the Sports Gambling Podcast Networks, brought to you by Circa Sports. Yeah, Circa Sports is back with their Circa Survivor and Circa Millions contest. Oh, $14 million is up for grabs. Get all the details at circasports.com. And remember, as always, folks, to let it ride.
This is Jerry Glanville, and you're listening to SGPN. Let it ride, brother.
Yes, yes, yes. Woo! Welcome to the college football experience. Georgia State Panthers 2023 season preview. You better believe we're excited to talk Panther football at Center Parc Stadium, the place where Terry Pendleton used to hit dingers. Look, you might be wondering just who the hell you're listening to, and if so, let me tell you, my name is Colby Swinging Database Dan, aka Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
I'm probably drinking too much and celebrating too much and not sleeping. Would have killed a normal man, but no, that's gone. The medical advice I got from that was like being hit by lightning. Pretend it never happened and get on with your life.
So, I mean, I would assume the great Shawn Elliott, head coach of Georgia State, 2022. Pretend it never happened. Let's move along with life. All right. Pretend it never happened, folks. Yeah, they went 4-8, opened up 0-4. All right, I'm joined by my co-host. Give it up for former JMU Duke defensive back, the burrito eating, sideline kiss stealing, wheeling and dealing, Patty C in the place to be.
Hi-oh. Well,
oh, buddy, you want to talk Georgia State Panthers? You want to talk about potential sleeping giants? What, they just start their football program?
Yeah.
God bless. There's some part of the country that's doing things right. I feel like half the programs on the West are disappearing.
Football. The Southeast is bringing it back.
They're bringing it back, baby. Let's go. And look, they used to play at that filthy Georgia Dome. Now they got their own stadium, even though it's the old baseball stadium, old Fulton County Stadium.
God bless America.
Gotta love it, man.
Well,
Coach
right
Glanville, you heard him on the introduction. He coached at Fulton County Stadium with the Atlanta Falcons back in the day. We are joined by third man in the booth. And let me tell you, folks, this guy knows college football as good as any. And folks, really, look, he hosts the FCS College Football Experience with me, which is a brand new podcast you should be subscribed to now. Get on over there, subscribe to the FCS College Football Experience. But I give you Mike Rose, aka Golf Coast Guru. How you doing, Mike?
What's going on, guys? Man, I'm loving this holiday weekend. This is one of my favorites. You go ahead, grill out. Had some surf and turf today. Got to watch one of my favorite summer blockbusters of all time. You go in the cage. Cage goes in the water. You go in the water. Sharks in the water. Jaws, baby. I love the
man.
I love Georgia State football. Let's do it.
I wish I had the Jaws theme. I would cue it up right now. Hey, that does sound like that's true. I get sued by them. Dude, we're down to like 2 songs. I had like 20 on here a couple years ago. We're down to 2.
You said it's like what, an AI acronym that's like listening to our podcast and being like, yeah, I know where that's from.
With our basketball show, the Russians came for me. Subscribe to the College Basketball Experience.
Putin's a listener.
Yeah, the Russians came for me there. I got kicked off YouTube for a little bit. So, but folks, subscribe on YouTube, youtube.com/the College Experience.
You know who might be a listener? I was just watching a documentary on Kim Jong-un. Apparently that guy can ball. Like they were interviewing
or basketball.
Basketball. They were interviewing.
he
He could be an offense.
He played left tackle for the North Korean battle tanks, right? Folks, I don't know what the fuck we're talking about, but we are going to be talking about Georgia State Panther football, and this is a brand new program. I mean, they have not been there that long. That's why I think the potential is there to really be good. We're gonna have Michael Barker join us later. AKA College Football Campus Tour. He's been down there to Center Parc Stadium. He's going to talk about his experiences at Panther football games. But before we do any of this, before we break down the roster, the coach, everything, I got to get us paid here. I want to tell you that the Georgia State Panthers 2023 season preview episodes brought to you by Circa Sports. Circa Millions plus Circa Survivor is back. All right, $14 million in guaranteed prizes are up for grabs. I repeat, $14 million. Oh, it's absolutely fantastic. Shout out to Derek Stevens, the owner. He's always so great to us. Circa Millions has 5 NFL, essentially what it is 5 NFL picks against the spread each and every week. And the Circa Survivor, obviously just pick a different moneyline winner each and every week. You can enter in Las Vegas and you can play from anywhere. Sports Gambling Podcast crew, SGPN, will be out there last weekend in August. So feel free to drop by circasports.com for all the details. Once again, that's circasports.com. What would you do with $14 million? What would you do? I'd make fucking Jaws 7. Let's go. All right, let's do this. No, honestly, I think that's just so much money you got. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun doing it. We've done it each and every year. So check out circasports.com for all the details, folks. And remember, as always, to let it ride. All right, we are back on the Georgia State Panthers 2023 season preview. What's up, buddy?
Did we give Gulf Coast Guru an intro here yet?
Yeah,
we did. Okay.
I mean, it doesn't have the Ric Flair. We're working on it. When we first started, I didn't have that long shit for you.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
That's true. We're gonna build it up.
I'll give him this.
There you go. Give him a tune.
There it is.
First down. Let's go. Okay, guys. So Shawn Elliott, it's a critical year for him. Well, this is a guy that played DN at App State in the early 90s and then coached there all the way to 2009. He was an interim coach with Spurrier at South Carolina in 2015, where they got upset by the Citadel. But comes in year one to Georgia State back in 2017. They go 7-5, win the Cure Bowl. 2018, 2-10, but they bounce back in 19 for 7-6. Then 2020, 6-4. Then 21, 8-5, and then last year 4-8. And there's talk he might be on the hot seat. And I'm like, come on, you got to give him a couple years here, right? Yeah. Or is it getting stagnant? What, Patty C? What do you make of the Elliott experience there in Atlanta?
I think he's doing fine, like you said. I mean, I don't think understand what the expectations are here. It's not like the Sun Belt is a cakewalk of a conference. Before you fire him, why don't you change conferences if you're that desperate to be a 8, 9, 10 win team? Or build your program a little bit.
And if you look back at a season ago, and I'll get Mike, I want to ask you the same question, but if you look back a season ago, they open up at South Carolina. If they were able to punt a ball successfully, this was a game. South Carolina 2 block punts for touchdown in the second half, if memory serves me correct. 7-point game against North Carolina. 1 point loss to a terrible Charlotte team. Now that is a bad loss because Charlotte lost by 17 to an FCS school. But if they open up 0-4 and you say, man, this team's kind of quit on them. But then they beat Army, they beat Georgia Southern, who by the way at the time was looking like they might play in the Sun Belt Championship. Then they go to Kid Brewer, where despite Shawn Elliott being a Mountaineer, he can never win. And then they beat Old Dominion and beat Southern Miss. Southern Miss was a bowl team. And then they somehow lose to ULM by 3. They lose to JMU by 2, and they lose to Marshall by 5. They were at 5 one-score games. 5 one-score games. So they end up 4-8, but this team was not far away from being 9-3, 8-4, something like that. Mike, what do you take? What's your overall situation like? What do you feel about Shawn Elliott and the program right now?
Similar to Patty C, I think Shawn Elliott's actually doing fine. I think the Sun Belt's just getting that much better, and a lot of people aren't picking up on it yet. Like you said, I had the same note: 5 losses by a score or less. Sun Belt's adding contenders. You got Marshall coming in. There's some team nobody's ever heard of, James Madison or something. They kind of suck, but whatever. They came in. This conference keeps getting better, and this team kind of broke my heart last year. I picked them as a sleeper to win the whole conference, and it didn't come to fruition. But I'm not quitting on Shawn Elliott, and I think this team's not quitting on him either. I think there's still some hope for the Georgia State Panthers.
Yeah, and I do think it's a critical year though, and I think a lot of times the college football that we all grew up in, I feel like you get a longer leash. And today's college football, if you're not like exciting, if you're not exciting the fan base, I feel like they have less and less of a leash. So I do think it's a critical year. Now, I don't think he deserves to be fired, but I do think, I have heard rumblings that, this is a make or break year for him. I can understand that they invested in, this is a program that just started up, and then obviously they invested in the brand new stadium, even though it's an old stadium in a way. You're in Atlanta, and just talking to people throughout college football, that do the same thing as me, the talk shows and stuff, and just love college football. They say, well, man, Georgia Tech's they're in Atlanta. Well, it's hard to get into Georgia Tech. Georgia State could be a sleeping giant down the road just because you're in Atlanta. They love college football in the South, and the city sells itself. So I do see that side of it of saying like, man, you just watch JMU, who's in the middle of nowhere, come into the league and win. Basically, they won the Sun Belt East, even though they weren't allowed to play in the championship game. And then you have South Alabama and Troy, duking it out there. But Atlanta, you should have an edge in a way, being that you're in the city of Atlanta. It's
the 8th biggest metropolitan area in the United States.
So I kind of see both sides of the coin. I once again, I don't think he should be fired. Even if they go win 4 games again this year, I think he should be given another year after that. But I also see the potential in this program. Like if you get the right guy, you should be better than every other team in the Sun Belt just off of recruiting. I'm trying to think right now. Sun Belt off the top. So Boone, North Carolina, love App State's program, but it's up in the mountains. Yep. Coastal Carolina, Conway, South Carolina. You don't have the same amount of talent as Virginia has some.
6.2 million people in the Atlanta metro area, and they're all crazy about football.
Can you imagine? Like this is one where I would have said, like, can you imagine if Deion would have went there?
Yeah.
Like they could have actually, like, I mean,
I've been getting 4 and 5 stars. If he's getting them up to Colorado, to the Rocky Mountains, he can get them to Atlanta.
Yeah. I mean, you can just only imagine. So I guess there's that. But anyway, big year for the Panthers. Let's talk about the transfer portal, because before we dive into the offense, the defense, and our expectations, the special teams, everything, I want people to know it's 2023. We got to talk about the transfer portal because it's batshit crazy each and every day and each and every year. I feel like it gets bigger and bigger, and it's harder for us to do this show, to tell you the truth. Like to forecast the teams, I no wonder why TC, like people are like, you surprised TC was in the national championship last year? I'm like, I mean, yes, but no, because when you go through and preview teams that have like 35 different players, you know what I mean? Like it makes it harder and harder for us to, before you'd be able to look and say, oh, they returned 10 starters. And normally that kind of, it went the way of that for the most part.
You could see 1 or 2 big transfers and be like, okay, that's going to have X impact.
Yeah.
But when half the team is a transfer.
Yeah. So, departing, let's talk about what left, because that's another thing, man. You look back and they went 4-8 last year. They had their whole, like, a lot of their roster got rated. And it seems to be a common theme is the other schools come in and say, hey, you got someone here, offensive lineman Luis Cristobal, no relation, right? He's now a Miami Hurricane. Defensive lineman Jeffrey Clark is now with the Louisville Cardinals. Also, wide receiver Jamari Thrash. This is what I mean, folks. He's in Louisville as well. I know those guys, right? That's what I mean. It's almost like I think South Carolina the year before came calling for their DN.
Thrash is like the school's all-time leading receiver, right?
Yeah. No relation to James Thrash, as far as I know. Kicker Michael Hayes goes to West Virginia. Safety Antavius Lane goes to North Carolina. Safety JaCyais Credle goes to he's going to Mississippi Valley State. Jerry Rice's alma mater. Wide receiver Terrence Dixon's also in the portal. Same with defensive lineman Omarion Hampton. defensive end Trey Moore goes to the Campbell Camels with Mike Minter. Offensive tackle Bryson Broadway goes to Georgia Southern. Fucking disgusting. I mean, look, I understand it's not as big of a rivalry, but come on. That's just ridiculous. Jalen Tolbert at wide receiver goes to what is it? I think Stephen F. Austin. And then once again, Stephen Krajewski goes to Wagner. And then you have Akeem Smith, defensive lineman to Sam Houston State. Linebacker Jamil Muhammad to USC. Once again, they get defensive lineman Thomas Gore to the Miami Hurricanes. This is what I mean. Is their team gets rated. Yeah. Defensive end Jamari
Thrash, by the way, 4th all-time leading receiver. Still,
there we go.
Tough loss.
Defensive end Jamarian Ellis to Alabama A&M. Quarterback Keelan Brown he also hit the portal, and offensive tackle Jonathan Bass to Charlotte. It's a lot of players, guys, and I can tell you this. Oh, I think I rattled off some from last year. Actually, I think I rattled off some from last year. Keelan Brown was the year before. Sorry, but my point is they still get guys taken, and you saw it here. Offensive and another one. Did I say offensive tackle Colin Henrich to? Oh no, he came in from South Carolina, but okay, let's get to what came in. I can't fucking talk. I can't read. I can't talk. I can't do anything. But incoming, they brought in Braden McAllister. All right, don't leave him home alone. All right, he's coming in from Charlotte because their kicker. Remember, their kicker went out to North Carolina. Offensive tackle Colin Henrich comes in from South Carolina. This is the one I misread because I am a fucking moron. And then we have defensive lineman Corey Warren coming in from the Chanticleers of Coastal Carolina. Ouch. Man, going in division. Wide receiver Peter Kiwata coming in from ODU, one other one in division. Offensive lineman Trevor Timmons comes in from the Charlotte 49ers. The Maine Black Bears running back Freddie Brock got tired of chasing scattered ass all around Maine. It's cold as hell. Going down to Georgia State. Maybe that works out. Linebacker JaCyais Robinson from Coastal Carolina as well. Damn, man. They just keep a lot of guys coming in from the conference, incoming and outgoing. Defensive end Ozzie Hoffler from Kansas State comes into Georgia State. How do you see you ever gotten a Hoffler before?
I need one.
What else do we have? I think that is it. Yeah. So I read off some shit from last year too. I read off like 10 guys from last year who left, by the way. That's incorrect. I'm sorry. But I'd still say they lost the portal. When you lose Thrash, to me, like you lose Thrash.
Thrash was 13th in the nation in receiving yards last year. He's the only guy that was in the top 20 on any statistical category for them for the entire year.
So look, they lose Cristobal to Miami. They lose Jeffrey Clark on the defensive line to Louisville. Thrash to Louisville. Their kicker to West Virginia, right? And then you have Intavius Lane to North Carolina at the safety spot, and a couple other guys to like Georgia Southern, but I still say they lost this thing just because I know they brought in a couple guys that might pop for them. The kid from Maine, kid from ODU, but what do you make of the portal there, Mike?
Yeah, so I think it might be a slight loss, close to a wash for me. Here's the thing. Shawn Elliott, what I really like to see, we already talked about it. Step up your recruiting. 114th in the nation, 10th in the Sun Belt. Don't love that. But the portal, 68th in the nation, first in the Sun Belt. Now, that doesn't count outgoing. However, here's the thing, is you lose Michael Freebird Hayes, the kicker. You bring in Braden McAllister from Charlotte. I like that. You lose Louis Cristobal, but you bring in Colin Heinrich from South Carolina. I like that. They also brought in Tyden Ferris, offensive tackle, 2-year starter from Central Michigan. They bring in wide receiver Jacari Carter from Merrimack, 1,200 yards, freshman first team or freshman All-American last year. So I think they addressed the issues as much as they can. Same thing, Jeffrey Clark, D-end on defense, one of their best players on defense last year. They went ahead and they brought in a Clemson transfer, Kevin Swint. So I think Shawn Elliott basically did the best he could while getting rated as far as just reloading.
Yeah. I mean, I just think the Thrash, but yeah, I think he did the best he could considering like you're getting, it's kind of like Mike Houston at ECU.
Yeah.
So you're going to get your guys stolen by the big schools.
You're the farm league.
Yeah. Yeah. And you got to go out there and get some guys, some of those FCS players also end up being studs. Watch out. What's up?
Was it, let me get this pulled up. It was, Griggs. I want to say, who was the running back last year?
Tucker Gregg, and he's
Greg. He's their all-time leading rusher, so that hurts a little bit. I mean, this team runs the ball, so hopefully they're able to replace that production. But Grainger was also hugely important in that production, and he's coming back.
Yeah, I don't worry. I feel like the ground attack will be good with him, but we'll talk about it because look, Georgia State's offense last season 53rd in total. Scoring offense. I'm sorry. Rush offense 14th, pass offense 101st, total offense chart net 42nd. Now Danny Grainger is a senior now. He is back. He's very experienced. That perhaps is one reason why you might like taking the over here. The running back spot though, there's KZ Adams. There's also Marcus Carroll. I'm seeing Carroll penciled in as a starter, but I think, you'll probably see a decent shot of both of them. Wide receiver wise, they do return 2 of 3. Robert Lewis and Credle are back at the wide receiver spots. Tight end Ahmon Green is back. No relation, as far as I know. So the other receiver is Jacari Carter that's coming in from Merrimack. Now, you got to like bringing 2 or 3 back, but you lose your best guy. You replace it with a guy, you got a guy from Merrimack coming in. Now, Merrimack's actually not as bad as people think. Just off the name, you're like, Merrimack must be nothing. No, they're actually all right. But on the line of scrimmage, this is where I think you can be a little bit excited. Is 3 of 5 back, and the guys in the portal projected to get the guys they brought in via the portal projected to get some starting ability there. So, Patty C, do you think the offense will be better in the coming year? Just the fact you have Grainger as the starting quarterback back.
I mean, you said, the how many returning offensive linemen?
3 of 5, but some of those guys that they brought in via the portal or like Avery Reese at the center spot started 8 games in 21. So last season did not, but you have starting experience essentially.
Yeah. I would be a little concerned if there's a huge lack of experience on the offensive line if you're a run heavy team, but having your trigger man back and it looks like even though
I feel like they run successfully every year.
Yeah, Tucker Gregg had 705, but Grainger was the leading rusher, and like you mentioned, Mike Carroll 622. So it's not like there's a huge drop off from Gregg to Carroll. Probably the line is the biggest concern there, right?
You still got 3 of 5 back though. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I would say I think the wideouts could be. You bring 2 of 3 back, but you lose your top guy. I don't know. It's kind of all a wash. Mike, what do you make of the offense?
I think a wash. I think this team's going to run the ball just as good as they did. You guys pretty much hit all the O linemen. There is a lot of experience. It's not necessarily what some of the publications might say, quote unquote, returning starters, but Montavious Cunningham, he's a sophomore. He started some games. You mentioned the center Avery Reese. They brought in Tyden Ferris from Central Michigan, like I said. So there's experience there. Patty C covered. Carroll, good running back, but also redshirt freshman KZ Adams is a guy they're very excited about. He's a guy that has the potential to really pop off screen. So between Grainger and those guys, I think they're going to run the ball just fine, just like they did last year. 14th in the nation in rushing offense. So they're going to be good there. And as far as the passing game, there's no way to cover up losing Thrash. That hurts. But Grainger only threw for 2,400 yards in total last year. They're not a big passing team. So it helps to have the threat like a Thrash, but I still think they're going to run the ball just fine.
Yeah. I mean, all in all, depending how you look at it, seven guys back, but I will throw this in there that Thrash had 3 times as many yards as the number 2 wideout. So
tough to lose.
That is a big. That is
your
big
number
loss.
1 target, without a doubt. 48 rushing attempts per game last year, 14th in total yardage, like you said, but 4th in the nation in rushing attempts, whereas 120th in the passing attempts. What do they do offensively? They sound like Georgia Southern from a couple years ago. I hate to say it, Georgia State fans, but maybe Georgia Southern's now the passing team. 4th in the nation, only behind all 3 of the service academies.
Super physical, man. They're always super physical. What do they? What do they
much
do?
of it
it's
is
just
the quarterback.
Yeah.
Is it read option? Are they doing? Are they doing a lot of different options?
I feel like it's power rushing, man. I feel like they just line up.
But how is Grainger getting? I mean, how many carries did he have at the quarterback spot?
He's explosive. He's somewhat explosive.
He was their leading rusher.
Yeah.
He is sitting there with what was it? 164 rushes. They got to be either running some option or doing some serious bootlegging.
Yeah. And Trent McKnight is the OC there. Was the wide receivers coach the previous 5 seasons. This is his 2nd season essentially. So gonna be more of the same. The defense coordinator gets a new DC in Chad Staggs. This defense a season ago that he's inheriting. Not the greatest defense. 105th in scoring defense, 94th in rush defense, 73rd in pass defense, total defense starting at 83rd. Once again, they took some big hits in the portal. I know specifically the DN for South Carolina transferred out last second. I feel like they lost a key linebacker as well. So, I kind of expect regression last year on the defensive side of the ball, but we'll see this year. If they can, they just return 1 starting defensive lineman in Javon Dennis. Now they do bring in the Louisville transfer nose guard Henry Bryant, who's just a sophomore. Maybe he's penciled in to be a starter. Linebacker wise, they return everybody. So you got to like this. They also have Shamar McCullum coming in from Wake Forest. John Trey Hunter back, Justin Abraham. You got to like the linebacking core. They do have DeIcy Hopkins, a redshirt freshman that may start for them. They have 4 capable guys that have started before though, but DeIcy Hopkins.
That's better than Kool-Aid McKinstry.
Great name.
Or Dakotas.
Yeah.
Is he colder than Dakotas?
Dakotas Crawford. Now he transferred from Nebraska to La Tech. So
I guess
got that NIL money in Lincoln and bounced.
DeIcy is cold, but it's still not Dakotas.
As somebody who recently lost their air conditioning, you can't replace Dakotas. Those air conditioners were dope.
In the secondary, like I said, they get Rance Connor from Louisville, but they're only returning 1 starter, and that's the right corner. How do I pronounce this? Bryquise Brown.
I think you got it.
Yeah, Bryquise.
Bryquise, yeah.
So they're also breaking in a new kicker and a new punter. I mean, I have concern, guys. What do you make of the defense, Patty C?
Well, it's between Dennis and McCullum. They got 2 of their, better sack leaders, 4 sacks and 4.5 sacks respectively. So some returning skill there, but I don't know. They weren't a very good defense last year, 83rd overall. So they got work to do.
And I think that's what he coaches in a way. You know what I mean? This is a guy that played defense for App State. You look at his history there. I guess he's coached a little bit of everything. He was offensive line for a while too. So I don't know. Mike, what do you make of the defense?
I think the front 7 is going to be pretty tough. I think they run 3 down linemen. So while I do think their defensive linemen are a little thin, they only run 3 out there. They're really plethora of riches there at the linebacker position. 4 guys coming that have starting experience, all in total. And then you bring in defensive end Kevin Swent from Clemson, former 3-star recruit, to offset Javon Dennis. Sorry. So I think this team, they're going to be a little bit susceptible to the pass. They're going to really count on a decent pass rush to kind of make up for that bad secondary. So I think this team's going to do good against the run. I think against the pass, it could be a big time struggle.
Yeah, we're going to go game by game and talk about how we got Georgia State. Hopefully watch it on YouTube, youtube.com/the college experience. And remember, folks, like I said, we host the college basketball experience, the college baseball experience, the FCS college football experience, and the college football experience. We come together as one on YouTube, youtube.com/the college experience. I want to tell you folks out there that the Georgia State Panthers 2023 season preview episode is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Yes. Best Ball Mania is here, and Underdog Fantasy is giving away $15 million in prizes. And Underdog Fantasy's, got Underdog Pick'em. All right, and that's a great way to get down on your favorite MLB and NFL, season player props. They also have college football when that comes around. So keep your eye out for that. There's so many ways to win over an underdog, and underdog's available in so many different states. Head over to underdogfantasy.com. Use that promo code SGPN for 100% deposit bonus up to $100. Once again, that's underdogfantasy.com. Promo code SGPN. All right. Well, here we are. Like I said, I know we don't have the graphic going. We will have that. And guys, if you go over to DK, the win total sitting at 5.5. Are you surprised by that, Patty C?
I mean, yes.
Plus 130 to the over, meaning Vegas leaning to a 5-7 season. The unders at minus 155. Mike, what's your first reaction to that?
Based off of last season, it would make me kind of want to lean under, but knowing what this program's been doing, I think that number is like right on the money.
Patty C, what do you think? You think you lean under right away or what?
I think I lean under right away, but you know, like you mentioned, Mike, Shawn Elliott's been there, 6 years? He's hit over than that, over than 5.5 wins, four out of 6 years. And last year, a lot of close losses. So maybe they get it figured out and they go bowling again.
Now I'll say this before we dive in. Well, they draw. So, you know, Georgia State's in the Sun Belt East. There's still divisions in the Sun Belt. They draw Troy and Louisiana from the Sun Belt West. Those are two bowl teams. And I believe the last two winners in the conference. Let's get into it because I think the schedule's got some challenges. Week 1, Thursday night, August 31st. Don't look now. Kasim Hill, former Maryland Terrapin starting quarterback. He has been the starting quarterback of the Rhode Island Rams the past couple of years. They were, a lot of people thought they were going to be in the FCS playoffs. The selection committee put Delaware in over Rhode Island, which was very controversial. A lot of people thought Rhode Island was the better team. Kasim Hill's back for like his 35th year. This guy started college when Neil O'Donnell was still there. So Rhode Island, watch out, man. This is one, if you follow FCS football, a lot of people that are, going through and scouting the potential FCS upsets have this on their list. I mean, I'll take Georgia State, but it wasn't that long ago that they lost to an FCS. Patty C, what are you doing here at Center Parc Stadium Thursday, August 31st?
I'm going Georgia State, but I do think 7-4 Rhode Island last year with a bunch of close losses. Maybe you do need to be careful. That said, they did get kind of waxed in some of their bigger competitions against Delaware and Pittsburgh. So, but is Georgia State on either one of those programs level? They're probably better than Delaware. I think you got to give this Georgia State, right?
Yeah, Mike, what are you doing here? I think this is a close game though, man. Like this is one, if they take this lightly, they will get beat. They lost to Charlotte a year ago. Rhode Island's a lot better than Charlotte.
That's actually exactly what I was going to say is Rhode Island is a better team than Charlotte. And I expect Georgia State to be a better team than they were last year. So I am going to go with Georgia State, but I think this is somewhere around a 10-point game going into the late in the fourth quarter. I think it's going to be close.
All right. Now, so we all got them 1-0. And now Jim Mora. Jim Mora returns to Atlanta. He used to coach the Atlanta Falcons. Now he's coming into Center Parc Stadium. He's as the head coach of the UConn Huskies. Curious what we're doing here. I got UConn winning this. Patty C, what are you doing?
I mean, I think on our UConn preview, we had UConn winning this. I think it's a little bit challenging for them to go down the coast and play in Atlanta, but I'm still leaning Huskies here.
I'm curious, Mike, what are you doing in this matchup?
You guys are crazy. No, this is gonna be a good game. It's gonna be a close game. UConn plays NC State at Pratt and Whitney the week before, so watch that game. Keep your eye on that. If UConn keeps that a little close, maybe this is an interesting little letdown spot if UConn gets their heart broken the week before. However, UConn 126th against in passing offense last year. I know Taekwon Roberson's back. But I think their game kind of plays into what Georgia State does on defense, which is going to be stop the run. I'm going to go with Georgia State.
Wow. Okay. So 1-1 and 2-0.
I can't hate the pick. It's decent. Yeah.
Now
Very
they go.
possible.
Now they go to Jerry Richardson Stadium where everything happens, and Charlotte beat him a year ago. Now Biff Poggi walks in. He's already. Did you guys see him talking shit to the App State assistant? This is. I think I'm a big fan of Biff Poggi. I'll take Georgia State because it's the first month, year one, but they lost to a terrible. I do expect like this Charlotte roster is a lot better than last year's Charlotte roster because he brought a bunch of guys in from Michigan and other school. You know, he was at Michigan as an assistant. So don't overlook this because you lost last year, but. Give me Georgia State to win at Jerry Richardson Stadium. Patty C, what are you doing here?
Lost at home last year, much less. Now you got to go on the road. But I do think that was probably a fluke. I'm going to give it to Georgia State here.
Mike?
I like that it's early in the season. That's why I'm going to go with Georgia State to start out 3-0. A little bit early in Biff Poggi's tenure, so I'm going to go Shawn Elliott.
All right, now comes the week 4 matchup, back-to-back away, by the way. In the Carolinas, you go from Charlotte, North Carolina, and then now you're going down to the house that Hooters built. Yes, the teal turf to take on Coastal Carolina. I mean, this game has a lot of turnover, and folks, if you don't know the history between these two, these games have been hilarious. I feel like whoever's at home normally loses. I'm pulling it up just to make sure I'm accurate, but I believe covering it, you know, the way we have the past couple of years, they're 3-3 all time. Yeah. Whoever's ever played at home loses when they go on the road. So they're 3-0 in Conway, 0-3 in Center Parc. I guess we got to take Georgia State, right? I mean, just by that logic, they're also, this is another good spot though, because they get a first year coach. So what is that? I feel like they're getting a decent, is that the second first year coach that they're getting this early in the schedule?
Is it Beck is taking over?
Yeah. Tim Beck's taking over, former North Carolina State offensive coordinator. I'll go Georgia State 3-2. I'm sorry. 3-1, 3-1. Patty C, what are you doing here?
No, I'm not going Georgia State. I am going Coastal. In Conway, even though they lose every
single time they've ever played
Thursday night on the deal turf. Give me the Chanticleers.
Mike, what are you doing here?
Yeah, man, I got the Coastal Carolina Conway edition college game or college experience shirt on.
There we go. There we go.
Yeah. No, I'm going to go ahead. Coastal Carolina has a nice little matchup against Duquesne the week before. Second leg of a back-to-back for Georgia State. I think it's a really good situation for Coastal. I'm going to go with the Chanticleers.
Oh, so now we got me and you both have been 3-1. And by the way, folks, get those Campus Edition college football experience t-shirts at the store, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/store. Patty C, you got them at what? 2-2? 2-2. We got them at 3-1. Now the Troy Trojans come into Center Parc Stadium. Trojan man, that's what I am, Patty C, because I am taking Troy.
You would wrap it up.
Yeah, I would wrap it up down there at Center Parc Stadium. All right,
probably a smart idea.
What are you doing here at the old Center Parc Stadium? You're gonna pull a Fred McGriff, go crime dog on him, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Not raw dog, crime dog. You know?
I see what you did.
What
there.
are you doing?
Little Atlanta reference. I think Troy is clearly the better team.
I mean, they won the Sun Belt last year.
So I got to go Trojans even in Atlanta.
Trojan man. Mike, are you a Trojan man when they come to Center Parc Stadium on September 30th?
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take the Trojans. 53rd passing offense last year. Gunnar Watson coming back. I think he's going to shred up this Panthers D.
They avoided them last year, right?
Yeah. So 3-2. 3-2 at the bye. Once again, folks, the win total. Well, Patty C has them at 2-3.
Yep.
But me and Mike got him at 3-2. The win total's 5.5, and it's juiced to the over. So you'll get great odds if they can get to 6. Now, Charles Huff and the Marshall Thundering Herd come into Center Parc Stadium. I got Marshall winning this, guys. Sorry. I think Marshall comes in there and wins. Patty C, what are you doing?
I'll say this. Between UConn, Troy, and Marshall all coming to Atlanta, they're due for one of those. I had given them 2 losses in the UConn and Troy game, so I'll give them the Marshall game coming off the bye.
Mike, what are you doing here?
That'll be a running slugfest because Marshall loves to run the ball too.
Yeah, they got both those backs. What are you doing here in Atlanta, buddy?
That's actually my point exactly. Under Charles Huff last year, Marshall, 109th passing offense in the country. This team likes to run the ball. Yeah, you got Rasheen Ali coming back, but this game was close last year. 28-23, Marshall got them, and that was on the road for Georgia State. So second leg of a back-to-back for the Thundering Herd. This game follows their at North Carolina State the week before in Raleigh. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take the Panthers to get this one done off the bye week.
There you go. In terms of rushing attempts per game, Georgia State nationally 4, Marshall 7. So outside of a Service Academy game, this is probably the most running you're going to see in a single game this season.
The Service Academy's out of the gun now. It's disgusting. So what? You got him at 4-2. I got him at 3-3. Patty C, you got him at 3-3.
Mm-hmm.
Now they hit the road to Cajun Field in Lafayette to take on the Raging Cajuns. This is a game. I think they can win this game. I'm not sure that Louisiana is heading in the right direction. I'm going to call for Georgia State to get their 4th win of the season. Let's go.
It's really tough. Michael Desormeaux.
Yeah.
Look, I took French in high school. Don't judge.
Did you take Louisiana in high school? Did you take Orgeron? That's a new language.
Hello.
Right?
Go diddly ojo. Look, I don't know. Louisiana regressed considerably last year in Desormeaux's first year.
You know, we make picks on this show.
I get it.
This is the point of them listening.
Sometimes I have to think about things. I'm going to go Cajuns.
Gonna go Cajuns.
In Lafayette. Come on.
Yeah. Mike, what are you doing here at Cajun Field?
Yeah, so Georgia State's really struggled against this team, 0-6 all time. But however, 4 of those 6 games were 1-score games. Lafayette does have the bye before this game. However, like you were kind of alluding to, Desormeaux, it feels like they just grabbed a guy with a Cajun name and they were like, fuck it, you coach. So I'm not sure I love the hire. I think they are regressing, going in the wrong direction. I give the win to Georgia State.
There's blood in the water, man. There's blood in the water. They're going to get it done. Then the very next week, at Georgia Southern, Thursday night, Sunbelt football, Paulson Stadium, Statesboro, Georgia. I'm excited to watch this, but look, they beat Georgia Southern last year. Revenge is on the mind. Shout out to our guy Clay at Georgia Southern.
This is their third Thursday night game of the year.
I think the Eagles get it done. Man. So I'm sorry, State fans. Southern, not State in this instance. So I got them moving to what does that put me at then? The 4 and what is this? 4 and got 4 games left. So 4-4, right? Correct. 4-4, I believe. So I have wins right now currently against Rhode Island, Charlotte, and Coastal, and then and Louisiana Lafayette, and then losses to Georgia Southern, Marshall, Troy, and UConn. So 4-4. Patty C, what are you doing here?
Well, let me go ahead and make one fan base really mad right now and one fan base really happy. Kyle Van Treese.
He's not walking through that door.
He's not walking through that door. Second in the nation of passing attempts. Have 2 teams ever been more different? Then again, first in the nation in interception. So maybe it's addition by subtraction. Look, Georgia State's gonna walk into Statesboro and get. They're gonna. It is Statesboro. It's Georgia Statesboro.
Mike, what are you doing here on Thursday, October 26th? The Battle of Georgia.
Yeah, so there's a theme with my picks, man. I'm taking teams that pass the ball well. I'm taking them to beat Georgia State. So Clay Helton, Davis Brin. I know he's a bit of a lawn chair, like you like to say, but I think this team's going to be able to air it out a little bit. So Georgia Southern, I got them getting it done at home.
Yeah, I agree.
I would say that rivalry is for being so new, strangely chippy. It's among the more like just angry rivals, angry fan bases at each other for no reason.
Clay says the real rivalry is App State. The real rivalry is App State because their history goes way back. But look, the very next week, the cowards known as James Madison come in to Center Parc Stadium. Getting
so much flack on this podcast?
Joking, buddy. JMU at Georgia State, Center Parc Stadium, and I'll be honest, I think this is a huge game as far as us getting to the over. I got JMU winning this though. I think it's a game though. It's a game. Patty C, what are you doing here?
You know, I got to look up some stats here, but I'm shocked that Georgia State was able to generate 40 points. That's the second most points JMU had given up last year, especially since JMU had the number 5 defense in the country overall. And I thought running defense was JMU's specialty, but maybe Georgia State was just more powerful. Either way, going back to Atlanta, a little bit scary, but I got to take my Dukes.
So you got them then. So you got them. I think we both have the same record right there. I got them at 4-5 right now. Mike, what are you doing here?
Yeah, I mean, close game last year, like Patty C was getting at 42-40. JMU running team. So Todd Centeio ain't walking through that door, buddy. But I think JMU. I think they're going to get it done. Honestly, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give it to the Dukes here. I'm going to give the loss to Georgia State.
Look at that. James Madison, number 2 rushing defense in the nation, behind Georgia. And somehow we give up 40 to Georgia State. They must have a really badass rushing offense. They really must.
Shawn Elliott, baby, getting it done. App State comes in the Center Parc Stadium next. They've never beaten App State ever. Shawn Elliott is from Appalachian State, and he knows Sean Clark. I believe they were there at the same time. That's App's head coach, if you don't know. Guys, I'm taking App.
Yeah. 0-9 all times against Apps. Shawn Elliott's played him 6 times. The game's only been closer than 21 points once.
Yeah, I cannot just say, hey, Georgia State's going to beat App.
Yeah, I think he's losing on purpose. He's still got
it's his alma mater. Like, guys. Mike, what are you doing here?
Yeah, same thing like you guys said. 0-9 all time, and the games typically aren't even close. App State been airing it out a bit lately, so I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to go with the Mountaineers.
All right, and then Saturday, November 18th, classic SEC move. Let's go to Tiger Stadium in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, where Brian Kelly and his family are going to be hosting the Georgia State Panthers. Patty C, upset special. LSU's got A&M on deck. This is your upset special of the year?
I am curious about LSU's rush defense. I'm sure it's great, but I'm going to look into that. But that would be the only chance they have. LSU number 63 rush defense in the nation. Maybe a little susceptible to what Georgia State's doing here. Probably not.
Yeah. Mike, any chance you're going with the Tigers to lose?
No chance. Georgia State, they've played some Power Fives pretty close over the last few years, but
they beat Tennessee at Tennessee.
Yeah.
They beat Tennessee at Tennessee. I remember that one.
And SEC South Carolina, like you said, that was a close game last year, but LSU's a different level.
That South Carolina game drove me crazy because if they just blocked the punter, if they were to just block, that would have been an interesting outcome. It's back-to-back away. Now they go to SB Ballard Stadium, take on Old Dominion. Tricky back-to-back because it's kind of a snooze fest. And you got to wonder this. Guys. And I'm not calling for him to get. I hope he doesn't get fired. I hope he's there for the next 10 years. But if he does, is there some quit on the team? I'm still taking Georgia State to beat ODU because I don't think he should be fired. And that puts me at 5 wins, I believe. Let me just go back to tell you, folks, I have them beating Rhode Island, Charlotte, Coastal. That's 3. 4th being Louisiana, and 5th being Old Dominion. Patty C, what's your final record here, and what do you have them doing at SB Ballard Stadium?
I believe I have them 4-7 at this point.
4-7, but then the ODU game, you got them winning that?
I think I do. 1-3 all time, but they all the other ones were way back before. Last year they got the better of them. That was in Atlanta. I think SB Ballard, maybe the game's a little closer, but Georgia State gets it done.
Mike?
Yeah, so this game, I got them at 5 wins. So this game's for bowl eligibility for me. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm giving it to Shawn Elliott and the Panthers. I got to win.
Wow, 6. So Mike is then taking the over, which once again, that is what, +1. What did I say? +130. Folks, I'm on the under. Patty C is on the under. I do think Vegas nailed that number. I think because they're capable of winning one of those games. I said, like if they
better start fast because the back half of that schedule is hard.
Like the 4 of the final game. Actually, ever since the bye week, every team is bowl eligible except Old Dominion, right?
Yeah, I mean
That's brutal.
And
That's brutal.
If you count Troy, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
well, Coastal
6,
too.
7 games in a row.
Actually, and UConn, the only teams that didn't. So Rhode Island was basically an FCS playoff team. Charlotte was terrible, and Old Dominion was terrible, and everyone else was bowling.
It's a tough schedule.
It's tough. It's tough there. We're on the under, but Mike is on the over. It'll be something to watch. But folks, before we get out of here, I had the opportunity to sit down with College Football Campus Tour, aka Michael Barker, to talk about his experiences down there to Center Parc Stadium. So, with no further ado, here is that interview. Joining us on the College Football Experience, Georgia State Panthers 2023 season preview is Michael Barker, aka CFB Campus Tour. Folks, you need to be following this guy because he's been to every single college football stadium in the FBS. He's been to a lot of the FCS, and he basically will go to 5, 6, 7 games a week, and he documents it all on his Twitter account. It is a must follow for anyone that loves college football. How you doing, Michael? And appreciate you coming on the show to talk about Panther Stadium, aka Center Parc Credit Union Stadium. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great and appreciate the intro. And this is a very unique stadium in the college football landscape, so I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah, I've driven past it, but I've never been. I did see it when I was driving past, and I thought it looked kind of cool. But tell me why it's so unique.
Well, first, it was built in 1996 for the Summer Olympics. It was named Centennial Olympic Stadium. It had 85,000 seats when it was built. And we all know what happens after the Olympics. The stadiums, they don't get used or they get torn down. Well, this one got repurposed into Turner Field, became the home of the Braves. And they tore out a big section of it to reduce it from 85,000 to 49,000 for the Braves, which is a typical size for a baseball stadium. And then in 2013, they had a 3-year lease left, and the Braves decided not to renew it. And when it expired, Georgia State and the Atlanta Fulton County Recreation Authority acquired the stadium to be the home of Georgia State Panthers football.
That's fantastic. I'm looking at photos of it now. It does look really cool. I'm one of these guys that loves football and baseball stadiums just because it's part of our history. I love a good college football stadium that's built for college football, but I still love it. Like I think Iowa and Northwestern are playing at Fenway. Some of our, some college football games happened at Fenway over 100 years ago. So I dig that. So it's kind of cool, man. It's kind of unique. You're right. Tell me about how many times have you been there? First off.
So I've been there twice. Went there last year. They played Coastal Carolina. The best game I went to was in 2020. It was part of a 2-for-1. So I went to a noon game at Georgia State and a 7 p.m. at Columbia, South Carolina. But the first game I went to was Georgia State beat Louisiana Monroe 52-24. It was an absolute shootout. And when you go to a Georgia State game, when they score a touchdown, they blare this big train horn. And when you score 52 points, let's do the math. 7 touchdowns times 7, 49 plus field goal, that's 52. So 7 times it went off for touchdowns there. And it's loud and it takes over the whole stadium. And it's just cool. And, just getting back a little bit into the dynamics of the stadium. You can still tell where home plate is. They got a statue of Hank Aaron out there commemorating a 715th home run, breaking Babe Ruth's record. You can stand and you look at the upper deck. They have it tarped off. The capacity to have right now is for 24,000. Obviously, the tarp could be taken off, but the roadside bleachers I really like because they're inside the walls of where the baseball field was, pressed up right against the field. Those are the best seats in the house. So a lot of creativity, ingenuity to make that stadium the way it is. They play a lot of Fun Belt weeknight games there, so I always like going to them. And if anybody gets a chance to check it out, they should go and see it in person.
100%. Look, the College Football Hall of Fame's there. Go check out the Hall of Fame. I know Athens isn't that far away. You can really knock out 2 birds, 1 stone here. You also have the Yellow Jackets. But I love this stadium. It looks really cool, especially if you do a Google image on this. So I got to get myself out there, too. I'm still going to call it Panther Stadium, though. But I got to get myself out there, and it seems like you folks do, too. You guys need to get out to Michael Barker's Twitter account at CFB Campus Tour because I'm telling you, if you love college football, it is perfect. All right. It is perfect for you to follow because the guy documents all of his travels and it's just really, really cool. So, Michael, I appreciate you hopping on the show to talk about Georgia State's Panther Stadium and Georgia State in general, man. And
absolutely. I appreciate it. And if you follow my Twitter account, there's no personal tweets. It's just football. That's all it is. So if you enjoy football, check it out.
Oh, that's half the battle, man. That's half the battle right there. So check it out, folks. And yeah, thanks again for hopping on. Take care, Michael.
Absolutely. You too, Colby.
Georgia State, Patty C, we got to get down there. We Mike, you're in Florida. You got to get over to the spot where Maddox used to hit dingers, right? Greg Maddox, he hit a few, I think. Guys, yeah, I mean, here we are. I know you're on the over. We're on the under. Patty C, do you make a prediction? Is Shawn Elliott the head coach of Georgia State next year?
I think he is. I think he should be. I think he will be. And I don't think that bowling is at all out of the question. This is certainly not a lock that I'm going under. You know, if they play a little better than they did last year, then they're definitely bowling.
And by the way, I said Iowa in that clip, in the interview with Michael Barker, I said Iowa Northwestern playing in Fenway. I definitely meant Wrigley. My apologies. Yeah, might have had a few cocktails. Mike, I know you got him bowling, so that means you definitely have Shawn Elliott coaching here when we do this preview a year from now, huh?
Yeah, I mean, like Patty C said, this definitely isn't a lock of mine. You know, I'm just going with Shawn Elliott being a consistent force there. But yeah, I'm going to go with he sticks around. I think he's got a good shot to get it done and keep his job. Yeah,
I'm on the under, and I don't feel great about the under. I think he could hit it. This will not be on the locks episode.
Do you think he'll be back next year?
If he goes 5-7,
bye-bye.
I don't think so. I think today's college football era is
big expectations.
There's no loyalty.
In Atlanta.
There should be loyalty. If it was up to me, I'd bring him back.
These hoes ain't loyal. These administrators,
these athletic director hoes ain't loyal. Folks, please subscribe to the College Football Experience. We're on Twitter at TCE on SGPN. And make sure you give all of us a follow here, as you can see on the screen here. Mike Rose hosts the FCS College Football Experience with myself. He's on Twitter at GCG_wins. Give him a follow. Patty C is on Twitter at PattyC831. I'm on Twitter at TheColbyD. Give us all a follow. And remember, folks, subscribe to the College Football Experience, the FCS College Football Experience, the College Basketball Experience. Georgia State. I remember, the upset. What was that? Did they upset? Was that Michigan State or Missouri? They upset somebody in the first round of the tournament where Ron Hunter fell out of his chair. You got good culture there, man. Rob Lanier did a good job coaching there too.
You're far more dialed into the Georgia State basketball.
Oh, they're good, man. They're good. So subscribe, folks, because we'll be talking about it each and every night of the season. Also, the College Baseball Experience we host. We come together as one on YouTube, youtube.com/the College Experience. Get the SGPN app for free in the App Store and Google Play Store. We get access to all of our picks, our podcast, our guest appearances. We had just had Joe Theismann on the show. We just had John Smoltz on the show. Check it all out, folks. And also, how many Thursday night games? There was a lot of Thursday night games there.
3.
Well, in general, it doesn't matter if it's Thursday night or not, but a lot of times if you're bored during the week and you're just watching these games and you're wondering who else is watching Georgia State, well, don't worry. There's a team of DGens, a loyal team of DGens, and they're over there in the Discord talking college football nonstop. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Discord. All right, folks. Mike's on the over. We're on the under. This is the Georgia State Panthers 2023 season preview episode. You better start thinking about yours, and we out of here.
Run and shoot.